Welcome to Sinkowitz, hosted by the fearless Linda Sinkowitz. She's syncing you up with the latest in election integrity, from breaking headlines to critical updates you won't hear anywhere else. With Linda, it's facts first as she leads the fight for one vote for one legal voter. Stay informed, stay empowered. Let's jump in.
Hi, and welcome to Sinkowitz. I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. Well, this week, our special guest is Kim Yeater from Take Our California Back. We'll be going to her very shortly. The states that we're going to be talking about: Arizona, Georgia, Idaho, North Carolina, and Utah. Then we'll go to our election term, our election trivia, national news, our vote notes. As all of you know, it's a much longer story that you'll be able to click the link and read the rest of it. And then our international, and of course, as always, my final thoughts. So let's get right to Kim Yeater. Welcome.
Oh, Linda, good morning. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on, especially, this bright and early, since you're a California girl.
I am a California. You didn't mention California. We're talking about California. Come on.
Do you want to let us know what is happening in California?
Sure. Well, first of all, I am not originally from California. I am from the East Coast. I bring over that Boston flair to California, I got to say. So I might start slipping in some of my talk and talking my kind of yacht along the way,
Yep.
especially when it's early in the morning, just so you know, Linda. And secondly, I see all the work that you're doing, and I don't think people realize the kind of work that you do behind the scenes. And I just really want to acknowledge you for that work, Linda. I don't think we would be as far as we are in our country right now if it were not for the work that you do. So thank you for all of the work.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm.
And
So
also the
Linda,
work that you are doing. I mean, you are doing a tremendous amount. So the Take Our California Back is not your first rodeo in actually helping our country. It's just what you're working on now.
it is. And it's kind of funny because it started in, I would say, it was right around the time they were doing the recall of Gavin Newsom. I was broadcasting at KCAA radio at the time, and I was on a show that I enjoyed being on, but there were missing key ingredients: faith, freedom, foundation. And I knew that if my time wasn't used wisely in talking about the things that were important, then it was really a waste of time and energy, and it wasn't going to move the needle. And it was funny because the producer said, Kim, you need to start your own show. And I did. That was the beginning. I got a call in from that producer a few weeks after starting the show. And he says, do you think you would want to do a show on recalling Gavin Newsom? I am not into politics. I am into truth. And I got to tell you, I was like, oh yeah, sign me up for the Christian Jubilee. We're doing it. And I remember asking God, what is it? What do you want me? What do you want me to call this show? And so we launched the Take Your Power Back show. So we started at KCAA radio, then I was broadcasting from Salem radio. And then there I was in 2020. And I went to vote. The couple before me goes to vote. They tell the couple before me that they had already voted. And then when I get up there with my husband, like, we knew we didn't vote. The other couple left confused. And we were like, hi, I'm Kim and Rick Yeater. We'd like to vote. And they're, Mr. and Mrs. Yeater, you're good to go. You've already voted. And so we knew something was very wrong. We're like, okay, just check that again. Here's our address. Check one more time. Here's our IDs. Oh, no, you're good. You voted. We were like, okay, I don't know what the problem is, but we want to vote. And of course, Linda, we filled out a provisional ballot, not knowing that they're going to count the first ballot. So that was kind of the eye-opening. Within a short time period, we're at the Moment of Truth Summit. And this was the download from Mike Lindell, Tina Peters, Dr. Douglas Frank, all of those that had put a stake in the ground for election transparency. I had no idea what I had stepped into, but boy, was I awakened, and I understood that was fraud and my vote had been stolen. So within a short time period, Tina Peters was released from lockdown by the FBI. She could leave the state. I flew Tina out, dug out. Mike Lindell joined forces. We had the Constitutional Sheriff Peace Officers Association joined forces, and we started to take our elections back. And we started events in the state of California. People had no idea. We canvassed our counties, exposed the dead people that voted, the people that were voting in other states that had no idea they had voted, the irregularities, people voting from households. That for us, Linda, was like oh my gosh, this is like a real deal. All of this is going on. And then lo and behold, I do a couple of interviews, and this actually hit me the other day as I was connecting the dots. And these were CIA agents, but these were like highest level that they just don't exist. And they were going into other countries, and they were using machines to steal the votes so that whoever the deep state was, could have those officials in those places in other countries. So it was like this web that was so tangled that started to reveal itself to me. Well, shortly after that, I was squeezed in the middle of an interview between Tom Homan and Derek Maltz, and I had already been reporting on the border with my show, Take Your Power Back show. And I remember the moment, Linda. Tom Holman was sitting there, and Derek, and God's like, these men are hamstrung. They cannot do the work I've called them to do. They're seeing this corruption just slip through the no fence, right? And that moment, within days, I was at the border with my team. And I remember it was like the drop from God that said, have those guys stand in the border, wrap their arms around one another, and declare out, close the border, close the border, close the border. And boy, the words we create, I'm telling you, words have power. Within a couple of weeks, one of my team members, who is my co-founder of Take Our Border Back, says to me, Kim, we need to do a convoy. I was just on a show, and it slipped out of my mouth, and I didn't mean to say it, but we got to do a convoy. Well, let me tell you,
You did a convoy.
Our Border Back movement, we raised $170,000 in 4 weeks, launched 3 rallies across the country, a convoy, East Coast, West Coast, met in the middle. It was absolutely phenomenal. By the time we were done, and that 4-week period, we had reached millions in the United States. We moved forward in connection with Canada, Veterans for Freedom, and all the pastors of Mexico. And these were the ones that were putting a stake in the ground for truth. And we launched the second round, the North America Alliance. We reached millions internationally, and I would say hundreds of millions now. So the movement was incredible, but leading people back to what General Flynn says, local action equals national impact. Working with people to show them that they could use their gifts and talents, boots on the ground, right where they were at, to take their city and their county back. Well, it was a great success. And I said, okay, God, what's next?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's next? Okay, you took care of that one.
And it was funny because it was like this drop of, okay, it's now time to work with the governors of your state, those that are running for the governor of the state of California. I'm like, God, that's like a big bite. Like the governor, I mean, he's like, you always say bloom where you're planted. So you're planted here. You're not going anywhere. Yeah, your grandbabies are in Florida, but your husband loves the beaches here. You go back and forth. So you're going to do in California. I was like, oh, okay, great. Let's start with the interviews. Let me tell you, we interviewed 14 governor candidates on the conservative ticket running for the state of California, running for governor. I launched the showdown. This was the Take Your Power Back California Governor Showdown. On this stage, they were filled with candidates. It was extraordinary. We brought in Lara Logan, of course, as one of the moderators, Dr. Douglas G. Frank, and myself moderating. And then we had Clint Curtis in the audience amongst the warriors and leaders of the state of California. Well, it's really funny because there was a moment, and I didn't know Doug was going to do this. Doug had actually, when we asked the election integrity question to the candidates who had no idea, I would say maybe one out of
Mhm.
everybody on that stage had a clue as to election integrity and the fraud that had occurred across the entire country, right? Because to them, it's still like, oh, well, do we really know? Nobody's been held accountable. So it's just
But we
still in
know.
this wonder
We
world.
have no right, and we have known for
Yes,
years
for
the truth,
years.
which
And so everything that's coming
yeah.
out right now, the election fraud disclosure
Mhm.
is not new. And it
No.
has gone, nobody is being held accountable until now. We're beginning to see the needle move. So when Doug Frank introduced Clint Curtis, he didn't give everybody the lowdown of Clint Curtis, but here's what he said. We all need to do what Clint Curtis is doing in Shasta County, the epicenter of election transparency. And I knew what Clint was doing, but I didn't know Clint's background. And this was huge. And the next steps forward would take our California back. Clint Curtis, Linda, was hired
Yeah.
by the Bush administration in the early 2000s. He was hired as a coder to flip the vote in the machines. And it was kind of one of those things, prove to us that this can't be done. Prove to us that our elections are safe. Well, little did he know that they would use that. When he saw that at the time, he left the Republican Party. He went to
Mhm.
Congress, was the whistleblower at Congress, and he's now in Shasta County on the conservative ticket, I'll tell you, in Shasta County as the Register of Voters clerk. And what he has done is shifting the state of California. You see, everything is transparent, everything is videoed, it is live streamed. Everything that enters that tabulator, you see, in the state of California, it is within the Secretary of State law, the guidelines. So we have to use a tabulator. Yes, the person's identity is protected, but it gives
Mhm.
we people the ability to count that vote. And when you walk into that precinct, that ROV office, there's no more fences blocking you. You are a participant in these elections. And the
Wow.
chain of custody is visual for us all to see. So there are cameras absolutely everywhere. So what we did after the showdown was we said, we're taking our governor candidates on a field trip. We're going to Shasta County. We're doing a press release. We're going to do a
Mhm.
governor state candidate debate, and we're doing a walkthrough. And then we're going to meet with the supervisors. We did it all. It was extraordinary. When
Wow.
these governor and state candidates got their eyes on what was possible and saw that it was so inexpensive to do it and it could be done within weeks, they were like, okay, well, why are we not doing this? This is what we need to do to take this state back. Fast forward, we go to San Joaquin. We meet with the Farm Bureau. We do the same thing. And then we go to Kern County and we do the same thing. Absolutely extraordinary. The needles moved. Every Monday, Linda, we have these calls, and they're national calls. And it started with Take Our Elections Back. And of course, it morphed into Take Our Border Back because it's all connected,
Yep.
and then Take Our California Back. Well, we had Riverside teams coming into our calls, teams from across the state. We made the connections with Clint. So Riverside brought Clint in to figure out what was going on with their elections and all the irregularities. Well, it was just announced on Friday by Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is doing his job as a sheriff, representing the people, exposing fraud. They found close to 50,000 more ballots cast than people in the 2025 a Prop
Yep.
50, which is the gerrymandering vote
Mhm.
for election, right? So
Yeah.
they have sequestered, if that's the right word, all of those ballots. It's now in the court's hands. Rob Bonta, the AG, is trying to do everything to take it down. Basically said to the sheriff, hey, if you don't go forward with this, trying to make a plea deal with him, knowing that all those votes get wiped away. I believe on it's either May 6th, I think the date is. So Bianco said no. So I got to give kudos to Sheriff Bianco doing his job. And most
Wow.
importantly, I've got to give kudos to the citizens and the people of Riverside, because they took it into their own hands and said, hey, what we're doing is not working. We need help and support. They reached out to the experts, Clint Curtis, and what's happening is awesome. And one more thing. When we were at the press conference in San Joaquin, we brought up Shakir Khan. Shakir Khan was that elected official who had been arrested but released and has gone to court 10 times for they found like over 70 ballots in his home. He was embezzling money. He was like, one ballot for Biden, you sign. One ballot for me. One ballot for Biden, you sign. One ballot for me. We brought to light at that press conference that this needs to be dealt with. This is corruption that has gone through the court system 10 times, and this guy is not in prison. And he's actually been able to go back to his country. Are you kidding me? And come back? Well, he was just arrested.
Excellent. Well, listen, Kim, we are running very short on time. We're definitely going to have you come back. So the website that people need to go to.
Yes, let's bring it up real quick. It is takeourcaliforniaback.com. That's takeourcaliforniaback.com. Guys, go check it out. Go watch the Shasta County walkthrough and support us. Your funding matters. Takeourcaliforniaback.com. And April 24th and 25th is our statewide summit. It's Take Our California Back to a Better Future. We've invited all the ROVs, the supervisors, the elected officials. This 2-day summit is going to absolutely give you what you need.
We really appreciate this. And again, we will have you back in the very near future. So thank you again for everything.
An honor to be here. Thanks so much for all you do.
We're going to go to a quick break and we'll be right back.
At Fight Voter Fraud, we work to ensure every legal vote is counted, and no unlawful vote ever diminishes the voice of we the people. We're fighting for you in courtrooms and communities nationwide to protect transparency, accountability, and fairness in every election. Our mission is simple: one vote for one legal voter. This is our country. This is our vote. Let's protect it together.
Hi, I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. I'm very excited to announce Operation Verify Voters 2026. This is where everyone can get involved. Every single person can get involved in helping make sure we have transparent and clean elections. The most important thing is cleaning the voter rolls. Who knows better than you on your street? You know when people have sold their homes. You know when people moved. You know when other people have passed away. Those are people we need to make sure are no longer on the voter rolls. And it's really easy to do. We can help you. What we're going to be doing is setting up training sessions, which you sign up for, and we will walk you through the process. It's simple, it's easy, and everyone can get involved. So you're going to go to fightvoterfraud.org or scan the QR code, and it'll bring you right to our Operation Verify Voters 2026. And our goal is to get every single state involved in this initiative. Everyone can make a difference. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to Sinkowitz. I'm Linda Sinkowitz, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. And again, we want to thank Kim Yeater from Take Our California Back. She is absolutely an amazing person, as you can see, and she's got tons and tons and tons of energy. So, all right. So now we're going to go on to our first state. This is from Arizona, the AZ Mirror, and this is from March 20th. The DOJ subpoena reveals federal investigators sought virtually all records from Arizona's 2020 audit. Now, the grand jury subpoena earlier this month that led the Arizona Senate to give the U.S. Department of Justice terabytes of data, including images of ballots related to the legislative chamber's partisan review of the 2020 election, shows that federal investigators sought virtually all the records from the audit. Yay! I think that's fantastic. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Arizona sent the request to Senate President Warren Peterson on March 5th, just over 2 weeks after former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kirsty Noem had visited the state. I love this part. While spreading election fraud claims. Here we go again. You can't even have an article with just facts. So it goes on to a whole bunch of other things. We're going to skip through a lot of that left-leaning rhetoric. The subpoena sought reports produced by the Cyber Ninjas, the Florida-based firm hired to conduct the audit, summarizing the forensic findings. Any original electronic media devices in possession of the Arizona State Senate provided by Maricopa County, including external hard drives, thumb drives, USB drives, memory cards, SD cards, PCMIA cards, compact flash, CD/DVD with accompanying chain of custody documentation. There's a whole bunch of other things that they asked for. I got to tell you, better if you just go and read the story. Again, it's on the AZ Mirror from March 20th. Again, there's a lot of rhetoric in there, but there is some good information that at least our federal agencies are looking into what we know happened, making people accountable. Okay, so now we're on to Georgia. Georgia, this is from ABC News 27th on March 20th of 2026. A Georgia appeals court rules Fulton County can reject GOP election board picks. Now, this gets a little squirrely. A Georgia appeals court ruled on Friday that the state's largest county doesn't have to appoint 2 Republican nominees to the county election board, a decision that could tamp down GOP challenges to how elections are administered in predominantly Democratic areas. The State Court of Appeals found that while elected officials of Fulton County must appoint 2 county election board members from nominees provided by the county Republican Party, county commissioners have the freedom to reject the name and ask for other choices. Really? The Democratic majority of the Fulton County Commission voted last year to reject Republican nominees Julie Adams and Jason Fraser, saying their actions made them unsuitable to serve. The county Republican Party sued, and the judge ordered the commissioners to vote to approve Adams and Fraser, finding the board in contempt after they refused. This went on for a while. Friday's ruling means the county won't have to pay a contempt fine of $10,000 a day that had been stayed pending appeal. In a unanimous opinion by a 3-judge panel, presiding judge Ann Barnes wrote that commissioners are required to choose from a list of Republican nominees, but, quote, "were acting within their own lawful and discretionary authority when they declined to seat," unquote, the party's choices. She wrote that the solution is for the Republican Party to submit new nominees. I'm speechless on that. Well, we all know what's going on in Fulton County. We all know the fraud and the cover-up and everything else that is going on. And we all know the issues that we do have with some of our judges that are out there. They're not exactly thinking clearly. Okay, so that's Georgia. Now we're going to go on to Idaho. Idaho, this is from MSN.com from March 20th. Idaho resists federal voter data push. Idaho's Secretary of State Phil McGrain has refused to give the Trump administration unredacted voter rolls, including partial Social Security and driver's license numbers, despite threats of DOJ litigation. McGrain provided only publicly available voter rolls, citing state law prohibiting the release of sensitive details and expressing doubts about the DOJ's ability to safeguard the data. He argued the trimmed down record should suffice for a legitimate federal inquiry into voter list maintenance. No, it doesn't, because you really need the last four of the Social Security numbers or the driver's license numbers to make sure it is absolutely that person. I agree that the public shouldn't be getting that information, but when the Department of Justice asks for it to see if you're in violation of HAVA or the NVRA, which, by the way, you are, you need to give it to them. I mean, this is just costing taxpayers more and more money. I mean, we've reviewed multiple times the reasons why they need to do it, but there you go. Another smug one in Idaho. Okay. We're going on to North Carolina. North Carolina, the 9th Street Journal from March 20th, 2026. Controversial new state voting rules on pause for now. The State Board of Elections intended to change its voting rules on Wednesday to better identify non-citizens, but an enormous public opposition forced the body to postpone. What? Quote, I would like to thank everyone who showed up today because they feel passionate about this issue, said board member Sohoiban O'Duffy Millen. Quote, I feel you should have been given notice yesterday that we are going to postpone this, and I think we would have been the polite thing to do, Millen said, but I welcome that we're slowing down, unquote. The board received more than 15,000 public comments before the comment period ended on March 16th, as well as criticism voiced at a lengthy public hearing on March 9th. In a brief Wednesday morning meeting, the board decided to allow more time to review all the feedback. The board had proposed applying the Department of Homeland Security's systematic alien verification for entitlements, that is called the SAVE program, to North Carolina voter rolls. Under the proposal, if the SAVE tool flags an individual as presumptive non-citizen, the county election board would have 5 days to determine if that person previously provided documentation of citizenship. If they cannot, the county board sends the person a warning notice by mail and email. A preliminary hearing and formal challenge hearing follow to determine the ability to vote. This makes so much sense on what needs to be done. I wonder if all those protests, they must have been paid per letter that, gets sent in. I know there's one group out there, Vote Forward. They are constantly doing the letters against anything that makes sense. So at least it's not put off, indefinitely. It is just postponed for a while. But why have common sense? We have the Senate Democrats right now that, God, they want the illegals to be here to be able to vote, murder, rape, and give drugs to our children and ruin our cities and towns. I guess it started going off into some of my final thoughts. I better come back. Reel me back in. Reeling me back in. Okay, we're going on to Utah. This is from the Utah News Dispatch from March 20th, 2026. Voting right groups seeks to join lawsuit to block Trump's DOJ from sensitive Utah voter data. I got to tell you, when I read the story, I read the headline and I'm like, I know exactly which group this is going to be. Some of you can already guess ahead of time. You're right. The League of Women Voters. As we've said time and time again, anytime they are for something, you should be against it. So the League of Women Voters of Utah is seeking to intervene in the Trump administration's lawsuit against Utah. which has asked a judge to force the state's top election official to hand over voter registration lists, including sensitive private data. Really? It's the voter rolls. I mean, they are so dramatic, even with the wording of this. The League of Women Voters is being represented by the American Civil Liberties Union of Utah and the ACLU Voting Rights Project. The groups filed a motion to intervene in the case on Friday, looking to block President Donald Trump's Department of Justice from obtaining Utah voters' personal data. Oh my God. I can't even read any more of it. Honestly, it is the same rhetoric we hear all the time. Oh my God, we can't let the government have the last four of our social security numbers. They gave you your social security number. They already have it. They don't care about it. It's just another identifying piece that our government needs so we can get rid of all the illegals on the voter rolls. Really? Oh, I'll tell you. Okay. So now we're going on to election terms. And this one is from Outlier Media from March 23rd, 2026. Our word of the day is subversion. An attempt to undermine or overthrow a political system or government made by someone working from within. I'm sure we know a lot of people that have done that. And we are now going to our trivia question of the week. Our trivia question of the week. On June 6th, on 2022, what UK Prime Minister survived a vote of no confidence by his fellow Conservative Party lawmakers, although his position was weakened by the vote? We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back.
We need your help to ensure one vote for one legal voter. Join Fight Voter Fraud. Request training, get the potential double-registered, double voter data for your town, and donate to support the fight. Visit fightvoterfraud.org. Because election integrity starts with you.
Hi, I'm Linda Sinkowitz. I'm the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. We are launching Operation Verify Voters 2026, and we want to get everyone involved in every single state because you can make a difference. We will be able to train you. It doesn't take that long for the training. It's very, very simple because you know the people on your street, in your neighborhood who have moved or died. We want to make sure that the voter rolls are clean. We're going to show you how to do it. Go to our website, fightvoterfraud.org, or scan the QR code and we'll show you how. Thank you. Hi, and welcome back to Sinkowitz. Again, I'm Linda Sinkowitz, the founder and CEO of Fight Voter Fraud. When I left you last, we had talked about our trivia question. On June 6th of 2022, what UK, that's United Kingdom, Prime Minister survived a vote of no confidence by his fellow Conservative Party lawmakers, although his position was weakened by the vote? And the answer is Boris Johnson. So that was a national trivia question. And now we're actually going on to national news. This is from Fox News 5, KUSI, on March 22nd, 2026. California does not require ID to vote in person, but the SAVE Act could change that. Hey. All right, as debates over election security and voter access continue nationwide, a new look at data compiled by Ballotpedia highlights that a number of states, including California, do not require voters to show identification when casting a ballot in person. However, newly proposed federal legislation would change that. Yay! Voter ID laws vary across the country. While some states require strict photo identification, Kudos to those states. Others have more flexible rules or no requirement at all. Nationwide, states generally fall into three categories. First one is strict voter ID states require ID to vote, with additional steps if voters don't have one. Non-strict voter ID states request ID but allow alternatives if it's not provided. And no voter ID states do not require ID for most voters. So Ballotpedia's analysis shows the following states, along with Washington, D.C., generally do not require ID for in-person voting. California, huge problem there. Hawaii. Let's talk to Ralph Kushney from Hawaii, the election official who has uncovered so much fraud. It is unbelievable. Illinois. Well, there's a surprise. Maine, of course. Massachusetts. Minnesota. Minnesota doesn't do anything wrong, huh? It's unbelievable. Nevada, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and of course, Vermont. In these states, most voters can cast a ballot without showing identification, although first-time voters who register by mail may still be asked to provide an ID under federal law, particularly the Help America Vote Act. It mandates that new registrants must provide either a driver's license number or the last four of their Social Security number at the time of registration. We also know how many people are not doing that and how many states are not filing what they need to do. So instead of requiring identification at the polls, these states typically use alternative, I like this word, safeguards. Election officials may verify a voter's identity through personal information, such as name and address, and voter registration databases. Ooh, you mean you can't go in and pretend to be somebody else? Of course you can. Oh my God. These processes are intended to confirm eligibility while maintaining access to the ballot. The issue remains a major point of political debate. Supporters of voter ID laws argue they help prevent fraud and increase confidence in elections. While opponents say such requirements create barriers for eligible voters. They may not be able to have easy access to identification. Really? Same argument all the time. Recent national discussions, including proposed federal legislation, would require proof of citizenship and identification, have further intensified the spotlight on how different states handle voting requirements. So basically, it's which states want to allow the most amount of fraud. And the ones that you can put at the top of the list are any states that are refusing to comply with the Department of Justice request for the voter rolls, which is just a snapshot in time to see if they're actually doing their jobs. Now, we know Connecticut isn't where I live, not even close. Oh, here I start going again off onto those final thoughts. We'll have to wait on that. Okay. So now we're going on to vote notes. Now, our vote notes this week is from Fox News on March 21st, 2026. And as we tell you, this is a longer story. We'll provide you with the link so you can read the rest of it. And there's also a nice little video that goes along with this one, too. It's GOP's Senator Gamet exposes false Democratic claims about supporting voter ID. Senator Jeff Merkley blocked a photo ID bill despite Democrats saying they don't oppose the idea. Democrat leaders say they don't oppose voter ID laws, but they blocked a bill to impose a nationwide requirement on Thursday. Senator John Husted, he is a Republican from Ohio, attempted to pass a standalone voter ID bill through unanimous consent on Thursday night. But Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from the far left state of Oregon, I added my own words in there, blocked the measure on the Senate floor. I've heard my Democrat colleagues say they don't oppose photo ID laws, Husted said during the floor debate. Quote, I heard Senator Schumer say, quote, our objection as Democrats is not photo ID. I heard Senator Fetterman say he supports photo ID, quote, end quote. So it goes on, and they actually blocked the measure. Of course they did, because it's not rhetoric. The Democrats lie. They lie when they tell you, oh, it's only this part, not the other part. So if you separate them out and say, okay, so it's not the voter ID, you support that. Okay, let's do a separate bill on voter ID, photo voter ID. And what happens? Oh, no, you can't do that. Can't do that. Same stuff we hear every single day. Okay, we're going to go on to international news. And this is from Euro News. And this is on Germany. And this is from March 23rd, 2026. I got to tell you, I actually went searching for something on Germany because I saw a bunch of things on X with some very, very, very ecstatic, happy Germans the other day. So I'm like, I got to get this story out on what is going on in Germany. So election in Rhineland-Palatinate, the AfD, achieves record result in Western Germany. In the Rhineland-Palatinate state election, the Christian Democrats have, according to projections, won just over 30% of the vote. They are clearly ahead of the Social Democrats and look set to provide the next state premier. Another blow for the SPD, that's the Socialist Democratic Party. Following their debacle in the Baden-Württemberg state elections 2 weeks ago, the party has suffered another sharp loss in Rhineland-Palatinate, dropping around 9 percentage points and losing to the CDU. Those are the Christian Democrats. Projections from ARD and ZDF, that's an Infotest DIMAP, and I cannot even say this next word is like this long. It's this long. I don't speak German. I may be half German, but I don't speak German. It begins with an F-O-R and goes on again with these long words. And then it says Wayland. After 8 p.m. show, the CDU leading with 30.6%, while the Social Democrats, who have governed for 35 years under incumbent state premier Alexander Schweitzer, trail in second place with just a 25.7%. The AfD records strongest results in the West. So the biggest gains went to the AfD, which according to projections comes third with around 20%. While all three governing parties, the SPD, the Greens, and the FDP suffered more or less significant losses, and the CDU and the left party's gain of 2 to 3 percentage points appears modest. The AfD's jump of more than 11 points is striking. This is likely to be the right-wing populist best result in a state election in Western Germany. The party now positions itself as strong opposition force. Party leader Alice Weidel was already promising, quote, excellent opposition work, unquote, on Sunday. She was one of the ones who was, cheering. Anyway, so yay for Germany. Now going into my final thoughts. We have so much that is going on right now. It is unbelievable with the election stuff. We also have DHS, which is shut down by the Democrats. We have the Democrats fighting the SAVE Act. It is nearly impossible for anything to really move forward, but it will, because we will prevail. These lunatics that are in office, most of which probably should not even be up at the Capitol. Oh, in Connecticut, where we live, we have two of the craziest ones that are out there. We should be apologizing to the rest of the sane world in the United States for Blumenthal and for Murphy coming from Connecticut. I mean, if any of you saw Blumenthal's post the other day, he's basically saying ICE in the airports now are going to be shooting people. Unbelievable fear mongering with everything. So we have had an incredible amount of stuff that is going on. I've kind of put in a little bit of my final thoughts. I do need to cut it short today because of other obligations at this point. But I want to thank all of you for watching us on OBBM Network TV, Rumble, YouTube. Like, share. Thank you for everything. Bye.